Chapter 12. I'd like to introduce you to what can only be called the culmination of all of my research combined. My own discoveries and wisdom attained while exploring the unknown. These include profound revelations that expose an underlying agenda of curious, repetitive, unethical antics that are worthy of scrutinization due to who has been conducting them. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll try to relay the forthcoming information as simply as I can for the sake of open source accessibility, as this is information that every human ought to be equipped with. Though there are those who prefer it remain hidden and secret, kept in the shadows and used only by their chosen elite. Despite the efforts to block us from attaining it, the information is ultimately inherent and cannot be deleted from our blood memory. Balance, symmetry, cymatics and the ripple effect. Water, blood, memory. Crystal, periodical, geometry, data bank, inherent numerology. The universal laws of attraction, sound, frequency, vibration, resonance. Just intention combined with true intonation equals pure effect or perfection. Just intention means just that. That our intentions are to be justified. And true intonation is in relation to the delivery of those intentions, be it with a certain look, with written or spoken words, through speech or song, through actions, gestures or the generation of music. Creation is manifestation. Ideas formed within our minds become the building blocks generated in our physical realm with which we create our existence. We are forever casting spells, even unwittingly, in our indoctrinated daily routines. One of the very first things we are taught in school is how to spell. What we are not taught is that the written words of a letter can cause an impact or reaction, depending on what words are used, in which context, and the tone embedded in its delivery. Just as the notes and keys used to compose a sheet of music, as well as the music itself, are also a spell. Every note of music can be represented by a letter as well as a number. Numbers can also be seen as the direction, the way in which the message flows and how it's said to be inferred by the listener, all being very intentional in its composition. The spelling of letters to form words that hold meaning of value to the phrases formed and the tone set within the delivery of such through purification of our inherent instinctual need to maintain our integrity, we aim for this perfection. And in the process, we discover the true meaning of joy. Light-hearted humor is the path that leads us to laughter, and laughter is the key to joy. Just as joy is the way or the path to existential happiness in our everyday lives, we can seek a life of contentment when we learn to find or create the humor in all things. We are thereby denying and deterring the most profound aspects of evil propensities that can cause a decent moral soul to go afoul. In the prologue to her story, I asked you to imagine a child who's been raised to believe that a ball is a box, that the sky is pink, and that water is soil. I'd like you to consider that child now, because essentially that child is you. Bear with me. I assure you I'll be making the relevant connections to substantiate these assertions as I take you through this story. Her story. And So we pick up here in a room full of young adults on the verge of establishing careers and forming families and lifelong friendships. A room full of people who've been taught from the time we could speak what the rules are and how to follow them. And we are also reminded perpetually of the consequences that might befall us if we step out of line. But who draws that line? When was it drawn? And why? Is this invisible line drawn in the sand? Is it engraved in the rock formations that form mountains? Is it spray painted in graffiti on the great walls of division? Where exactly does this infamous but confounded line lie? And where does it lead? If it's all black and white, then we can see it as a vast checkerboard, spanning the horizons and periodical in its formation. If we want to avoid the dark, all we need to do is stick to the light spaces. But then, what if there's this gray area, where the black and white overlap, creating a sense of either collective collaboration or the unease of uncertainty, depending on the perception of whomever is experiencing the overlay? When I say we are raised to believe the opposite of what actually is, I am not exaggerating. This is not an overstated assumption or my own personal opinion. There is plenty of evidence out there in the real world for anyone to easily find and scrutinize to their own ability. To validate these claims I make, take any politician for example. Upon entering the political sphere with hopes of being elected, will make promises to their constituents to achieve certain outcomes after being elected. Dig deep enough and you'll more often find that these players are actually pundits in agendas that aim for the opposite of what they've promised to achieve. This is not fake news, and no, you're not crazy for thinking it's all a farce. Since in actuality it really is beyond ridiculous. No, you are not crazy, you are aware. And congratulations on using more than the typical 10% of your brain's capacity to cognitively analyze what you observe and take in around you. You are an intricate part of the collective. We welcome you to the hive. Thank you for tuning into Where's Claire? Siman She'ela, an immersive interactive audiobook experience. This chapter was inspired by the intuitive readings of Black Betty, Bronwyn's Cove, Draconic Princess, Sanui Healing, and of course the Oracle Astrea 5D. Take care, collective. And until next time, tune out and tap in.